Say hello, guys. Yeah, above me, Mr. Joe K Crazy on YouTube, Jeremy, the LSEM on Twitch and YouTube, Jason, Tabletop Battlefield, Rocco Robotics on YouTube. I'm Ryan, Tales of Valhalla on YouTube. How about we get started, guys? Huh? We can do all we can do all the information dumps at the end of the of this hour talking segment. Welcome everybody to the live stream. We got some information to talk about when it comes to Age of Annihilation. Some stuff that you probably already know, but we're going to get some in-depth discussion tonight. And later in this discussion, I have a question from N. Carmine himself, Chris Nadeau from Avalon Hill. Sent me a question that we're going to talk about. It has to do with lore within not just Heroscape, but Tales of Valhalla as well. So we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But first, there was some more photos and information about Age of Annihilation that I'd like for us to talk about tonight. I know a lot of people have already live streamed this, but we're just gonna see if we can investigate this a little bit more in depth. So let's go to Thursday's bit of information first. Let me bring that up here. Now, the first one, I think it hits you in the heart. A few of these photos. It didn't it to you guys? Didn't it just like
say it, Ryan? What do we see?
Oh my gosh! Just take a look at this. Yes, we are getting Morrow again. Yes, we are getting Morrow again. I kind of figured we would, but not only this, I think we were talking about pirates, actually thinking about one of the things that we would like to see in some of our first live streams talking about Age of Annihilation, and we get double. We get a Morrow pirate. Just look at that artwork. I one thing I like about the well, I'll say in a second. Let me read through the post of this first. Let me get to this. Now I believe it's this one. If not, then I'll jump over to the open and see.
Got pants on.
It's got pants on.
Tomorrow's wearing pants.
Let's see here. I'll make sure I get the right one. Yeah, okay, it's this one. Okay, so N. Carmine posts this, and let me just read through this quickly. Designer's notes, Day 3, recognition of our past and a path towards our future. For almost 2 decades, players have endeared themselves to the faces and forms of so many interesting personalities on the surface of Valhalla. When we initiated the project and started development, we made the decision to drastically expand our universe. I like that sound. Giving existing players an opportunity to build out a world they have only seen a small fraction of, while also providing new players a chance to own something themselves. We wanted every new player to feel they possess a level field to begin their collections alongside the original generation of Heroscapers. However, this game means so much to so many players, and the memories it has created for fans are simply the stuff of strategy gaming legend. To that point, we wanted to ensure existing fans were able to affirm that those creatures and narratives they loved could live on into this new era. The Dawn Raider Syndicate provided us with that perfect opportunity to reintroduce many of our most beloved and recognizable species back into the battle for all time, reminding us all that the war never ended on Valhalla, and grounding our next chapter in the foundation of our past, while also providing everyone something fresh to spark their imaginations for our futures together. Now, I'm gonna go back to this photograph now. Hold on. This one. Now, and this was the photo with it. And this got everybody just insane talking. Like, so Amaro is part of a syndicate that's not loyal to any general. Now, if this is an independent, and this is a unique hero, Amaro as well. I just cannot wait to see what the stat cards are for this guy.
Yo, give us the cards, bro. Come on. Give us the cards.
Chris,
I
if
don't
you're
know
watching,
what I need to do to get these cards.
or
I
the
need these
stats.
cards,
We just
bro.
need the stats. Need the stats. Give us the stats.
I need to know.
Did you want me to read what Dadscaper said about the Morrow Pirate?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is there a name? Do we have a name for him?
no name. Just a little bit more details about it. Yeah, we're getting filter fed. That's for sure. They're having a lot of fun with this. So
Oh yeah.
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
tickling my heart.
they're
Okay.
just. So Dadscaper says, what we're looking at here is more parts of the pirate faction, aka the Dawn Raider Syndicate. There are pirates all over the world, and pirates historically and famously press gang civilians into service. So it makes sense that our pirates, Heroscape pirates, would be a mishmash of this and that, but a perfect way to include some of our old friends. So here you see Morrow Pirate, a Morrow unique hero. I'm reluctant to answer at this moment whether we're looking at a captain or not, but he is a unique pirate hero, so certainly it's reasonable to guess he might be. So that pirate synergy, or that captain synergy they were hinting at.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And this is definitely a unique hero character. So it just I'm curious about what is happening to the Morrow. Have they been wiped out, or are there just small factions on them, or there's still an amazing amount of them still bent on taking over the universe? Because they're literally like the Borg of this series, like zombies. I mean, they have zombies in Heroscape, but you know what I'm saying? They are the anti-hero in this series, you know, and they're just they are.
Well,
so
we
good.
don't know what happened in Valhalla for them to create the Dawn Raider Syndicate to begin with.
Exactly.
Right.
So something happened between the Valkyrie generals that allowed the Dawn Raiders to essentially, be born. But I'm very curious to know if the idea of the captains are gonna not replace but be interjected into the idea like the Valkyrie generals are, or is it just gonna be a class?
We do know the captains, like they said that for the Dawn Raider Syndicate, the captains are the ones that determine which jobs they should take and stuff like that. Like they have a council of captains, and they decide all the mercenary contracts and stuff like that. And I
so
think
to
that,
me, that sounds like it's kind of turning into like Valkyrie generals. So that as
right.
if, for example, for the Dawn Raider Syndicate, that the logo of the captain that they follow would be on their card.
Right.
But then again, to me, realistically, it sounds like it would rather just be like the class of captain, and maybe the card will just be Valkyrie, generalists, on the card. I have no idea. What do you guys think about that?
I think so it was really interesting. So I was actually doing research the other day. Like I was rereading the Thorman's journal, and I was doing some like plot research and stuff like that. There's a part in like right before the whole Swarm of the Morrow segment of the journals where the ninja Shiori, right, the one that fights for Einar, she actually declared herself as independent, that she didn't want to fight for Einar anymore. So my that particular idea of characters deciding for themselves, like their own direction, rather than follow the orders of the generals anymore. I think they were all they had intention to start something like that similar prior to the discontinuation. And so for us, what those card colors symbolize isn't exactly who they're loyal to, but who brought them into the world. So I personally think the cards are still going to be colored based on which general brought them in, and then we find out they're no longer following them. They're just, the card will still have Vidar or whoever as a, showing off that's who brought them to to
And
so.
keep in mind, this is just one new faction. They hint that there's more than one.
Gonna be more.
What we're getting right now is just like just tiny grains of sand compared to, I think, the information that they have.
But what's nice about this is that even with the factions that we got before, and even though I think the Morrow is one of the most fleshed out, no pun intended, fleshed out factions out there.
Right.
But I think what we're getting with the Dawn Raider Syndicate is already just as fleshed out as a design, aspect, fleshed out as the Morrow are. So right now at the gate, we're getting something already like we might get maybe this Dawn Raider Syndicate army might be one package. Like, imagine if they sell it as the army or the faction instead of it being just like pieces a little bit everywhere.
And I do want to talk about something pertaining to this, but I want to do it in a little while.
Okay.
And does anybody else have anything else to say before we move on to the next?
Yeah, I was gonna say just a few things from a gameplay perspective. I would probably expect the Dawn Raider Syndicate cards to either be Dawn Raider Syndicate factions, like a actual faction, or they'd be something generic like a mercenary faction that would encompass additional mercenary armies that we don't know about yet.
Right.
And wouldn't Captain make sense to stick here in like the side where he had his little tags about the character?
Right. Yeah.
Or
That
probably
in
one of
the
these would be
classification class.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be Captain. Yeah. No. That's realistically that's what I would think. Yeah.
Because that way it makes it easier. But plus, I think by having that just a single Dawn Raider Syndicate faction that contains all the captains underneath it, what would allow you to do from an army building perspective is by choosing a different captain, your army's going to play totally different. So you really would want every Dawn Raider Syndicate unit to work with with any of the captains, because then you can get a little bit more interesting mix and matching combos going on for the different captains, different armies and such.
And
no, for sure.
I apologize for it because the sound of my audio spiked because my microphone is literally 15 feet from the road. My house walls are paper thin, so if a noisy vehicle drives by, the audience hears it. So I just wanted to mention that, and I'm sorry, but that's just how things go right now. Anyway, okay. Besides that, anything else?
No, we can go to
let's move on to this next, because I know Jeremy has a lot to say about this. He was having a lot to say about this when it first came out. Let me first read the read the what was typed about this photograph first. Yeah, let's put it on here. Okay, so N Carmine says, designer's notes, day 3, backwards compatible but full of new twists. For so many strategy gamers, Heroscape represented something different and accessible. It reached new players and jump-started a generation of gamers looking to plunge into tabletop wargaming who could stand proud over their armies of battle and apply their competitive spirit. It was a requirement from day one that anything we produced would be backwards compatible with existing rule systems and game mechanics. However, it couldn't simply be more of, and the team took on the task with zeal to unlock greater depth in the range of abilities and powers. For the team, nothing excites us more than to see how you will dive into all new army builds, combinations, and strategies, using all new powers to once again march to war upon the surface of Valhalla. And for those who love their historical ties, which we do, perhaps a closer look is needed. And it shows power a Master of Disguise. If Pirate Queen Bonnie is targeted with a normal or special attack, roll a 20-sided die. If you roll a 12 or higher, the attacking figure may not attack Pirate Queen Bonnie, which I think is a really cool bit of rule. But here, let's just take a look at this. Pirate Queen Bonnie. Just this artwork. So could we take off the mask technically? Is that like a piece to where we could have either one with her face or with a mask on?
I don't think so. I think it's just obviously this is just concept art, so I think it's just concept art in the fact that she does have a face. She's not a Soulborg.
Right.
She isn't. She is human. Of some sort.
I think it's one of my favorite miniatures out of that whole lot that was there in Gen Con. It was just beautifully painted, and it looked like you could tell that person had a story, and you know, Jeremy, you know a little bit about the historical aspects of Pirate Queen Bonnie. Why don't you
Yes.
give us your lore knowledge,
Can I
my
say
friend?
one
So-
we're on the lore path quickly? Can I say one thing?
Go ahead, Jason.
It's very common for miniatures to have two heads that you put on, where it's a helmet and non-helmet.
Mhm.
You see that a lot. So it's entirely possible this miniature would ship if it's going to be assembled by you with one with her human face visible and one with one of the helmets on.
That would be
It's
cool.
up to you to decide which one look you want to go with.
That would be cool.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
it.
No, that's awesome because that would be really cool to see. They do a double. They give you a chance to depict her in two different ways. But I mean, the name Anne Bonny, or well, so then the full name is Anne Bonny, but they said Pirate Queen Bonny. The name is significant because she's one of the few recorded female pirates in all of pirate history. So we have a bunch of famous names. We know about Blackbeard. We always talk about Blackbeard. He gets brought up a lot. But Anne Bonny, like she defined the legend, I should say, of pirate history because she was active in the Caribbean the entire time. And here's the crazy part, right? She disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to her. So I'm like,
This is
nice.
actually a historical character.
Yes, this is an actual historical
What?
person. Anne Bonny is a real person in history. And
What?
yeah. So
Wow.
so the fact that they decided not only to take Anne Bonny of all pirates, because she's an awesome pirate. Like, if you ever get the chance if you ever get interested in pirate history, I do recommend reading about her because some of the stuff she did, like she did not mess around. She played the role. Took the visage of a male, so no one could suspect her. And then whenever they tried to fight her and stuff like that, she won every fight, things like that. Like she was great. Like, and you actually, if anyone's familiar with the Assassin's Creed series, you actually, when you play the pirate series Black Flag, you meet her in the game. She's one of the characters you meet in the game. You actually work with her and stuff like that, and then and all the stuff with that. It's pretty great. She is really just. I like the fact that she's in the game, for one, is super cool. The fact that it's a pirate from actual history is super cool. And then the fact that the actual real life lore, the history of her as a person, is documented, that nobody knows what happened to her. Oh shoot, she's in Valhalla. that just works out really freaking well. So good job on the dev team for figuring that, or getting that nice little tease out of history, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll have more than just one historical figure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure.
For sure.
Yeah, it's. Yeah. Did you say something, Jason?
Is she the first real historical character that's in the game?
They have a few.
They have a
I
few
wanna
that are
say.
just. I mean, you got your common squads that are kind of from historical.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
But like a named hero
generic
who's going
guys.
for it.
Yeah,
Named
like
hero.
a real.
Well, Alistair
historic-
McDurk is kind of like William Wallace. It's just named
Mhm.
differently. You have like the Knights of Weston Sir Deneric. I mean, I'm sure they probably take from some historical figure. Actually, I have to ask that. I have to ask Chris. Was Sir Deneric supposed to be after any historical figure, or is it a knight that you just made up?
Right.
Even then, being modeled after historical figure is different than actually bringing a real person that we
Right.
pretty sure existed
mentioned.
and dropping into the game.
Right. Sure.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
I do know off the top of my head the Romans are based off an actual Roman legion. So because the box, it's not actually on the
Yeah.
cards or anything, but it's on the box. It says the 9th Roman Legion, and if you check that out, the 9th Roman Legion was in charge of Spain back in the day when the Romans were in charge of that area, and they were actually reported as missing in action too. They disappeared, and no one knows what happened to the 9th Roman Legion. So. Boom, they're in Valhalla. I like that tie-in. It's just really exciting to find these little bits of history. You read about them, you find out they disappeared, and then they're in the game, and you're like, hey, got it. But as far as I know, I think the other historical Earth characters are like loose interpretations of that genre or that aesthetic so far. But from what I know off the top of my head, the Romans are specific to history. And this will make another character specific to history, Anne Bonny. So, pretty cool stuff. Like really
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love every piece of information that they could give us. And I think Chris is like having, and Carmine is really having a fun time, just doing this bit by bit and just driving everybody insane, like ah.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, this is so great. I'm curious though now, because I think out of all of the Dawn Raiders, Pirate Queen Bonnie looks like the most, futuristic.
Right. Do you think she might be a captain?
I feel like definitely
Probably.
Bonnie. Definitely Bonnie would be a
queen.
captain. Mm-hmm.
If not, there'd probably be a good reason why not. But yeah, that's really cool. I mean, yeah, I can't wait
if you're getting concept art like this,
I want right now. I want that miniature right now. I actually, I've already think of ways I could use her for TOV.
And like the whole thing is like for the entire time. Like I know, especially for my first guesses, I assumed that was a robot character of some sort. Whenever I showed that image to friends, they compared it to so there's a type of character you can play in the game Destiny called Exos, which are basically like they're robot humans, and yeah, everyone's like, is that an Exo? Is that Destiny? That's what I kept getting in return, but it's not even that. It's a person from actual history that adapted to her life in Valhalla using future tech, and that's just like, I mean, that's super cool. So
yeah, that's wild.
And besides that, anything else you guys have to say on the subject before we move on to the next?
Let's see. Dadscaper just made a little comment, nothing too big.
Okay.
It's just talking about what is it? So over the course of the coming releases, you will see a lot of new members of the Heroscape family, new genres, new races, and so on. So the pirates are also an effective way to make sure that we have humans present in the new set. And that's all he said about that part. So. Yeah, no, exciting stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next and last posting before the weekend.
Right.
And this was it's just a really big hint. Not much is said, but a lot is seen. So let me just bring this up here. All right, so in Carmine, this is Designer's Notes Day 4. Wow, those baby dragons grow up really fast, don't they? And he says, have a great weekend, everybody, indicating there's nothing going to be dumped this weekend. We can all take a break. And let me get a photograph here. That's a full photograph. And and anybody who's watching on Twitch, Facebook, if you want to comment, feel free to comment, say hi, ask any questions. We will do our best to answer them. And there it is. Now, yes. Okay. So what did we say?
Yeah.
Sonlin, right? Sonlin.
Yeah.
Sonlin,
That's the theory, the major theory. They still won't tell us, but
It's no doubt.
yeah,
Way too powerful of a character. I don't know how much OP he can get with this.
Well, and everybody was shouting when they saw this, like, Old Man Drake. We need Old Man Drake.
Right.
Another
No one
Raylan.
was
We
thinking
need another
Old Man
Raylan.
Sonlin.
But if they're doing this to Sonlin, which I wouldn't think is as major of a character as like Drake or Raylan, I know they have something planned for them. Even if it maybe not be a miniature, maybe it's just
some sort of
telling
representation.
If their storyline ended, or maybe if there's a next generation of them, or something like that. There's got to be something with them. Not just them, but other miniatures we know. And one thing I want to say too, I went into the weekend just thinking something, and I could be wrong about this, but so this is just a big guess, a big prediction. I think it is their goal to make this universe just as extensive as like Warhammer 40k. Because Warhammer 40k, is a big universe. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm saying it's a goal, but I think they're aiming for something very expansive for an intricate story, just like these other games like Warhammer 40k. I mean, Warhammer 40k is the biggest, out there. So it's one of the biggest. I mean, they have lore,
Yeah,
they
for
have
sure.
books. I mean, they have miniatures, they got video games, they got everything. And the story is quite. I mean, I've studied a little bit into the story. I mean, and it is quite intriguing. And part of me just feels like I think they're trying to do that with Heroscape, even if it's just on a miniature scale. I think that's what they're trying to start building up on, trying to make this story that's like kind of dark, but yeah, it's got all this battle and war for the player just to get more engaged into the fun of the game. That's just that's what I came off last week thinking about it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know. I just know that they've only maybe given us like a minus a dot of a percent of what they are actually designing and developing.
Right.
And I absolutely agree, Ryan. I really do hope that that lore is one of their biggest focuses, next to making a balanced game and a lot of fun and whatever. But as a story, because as a fan from my childhood, I didn't know any other story other than the basic, like these generals, they brought people to Valhalla and they fight. That's it.
Yep.
I just assumed who was bad and who was good, and that was it. I never read anything in the manuals. I just kind of picked up and played the game. And now even coming back to it for the past couple years, that's still all I know. I don't know anything else. I know the characters a bit more. I've read a little bit of bios, but that's really it. So if they are expanding, maybe not as deep as Warhammer, because that's super deep, but at least expand it and make it a little bit deeper than what we already have, just so that for those people, for those kids and us that grew up with it, are growing up with it, have a little bit more context, a little bit more to grasp at, for our imaginations.
Right. And I think that when it comes to like this game and this universe, and it's one of the things that I tried doing with ToV starting out, is trying to build like character and story arcs, because there is an overlying story arc within Heroscape, but as
Right.
far as like character, like individual character driven story arcs, there are some, but not too many, and not too in depth, or there's quite lots of questions. And that was one of the things I wanted to do, just as a storyteller, as a filmmaker. It would be fun because it's a very open sandbox. It's a very open sandbox to have fun, explore the personalities, especially, I just enjoy exploring the personalities of the common squads that don't have names, don't really have much information on them, and do something with them. And yeah, when it comes to like past generations and these coming generations, I'm sure they talked long and hard about how to make this combined together so it can be appealing for younger people as well as people who've been doing it for a while. And I think they have a plan. I don't know if the plan's going to work, but it sounds certain they have a plan. Now, I want to address a comment because we have Tim Crone, and if I butcher your last name, I apologize, Tim. But thank you, Tim, for coming on stream. Hello, how are you doing? He says, will the figures have to be assembled? Now, we talked about assembly before, and I think from what Jason said, actually, Jason made the point that, well, some of the miniatures from the old Heroscape game, we did have to assemble the dragon's wings and such, so it just depends on the depth of assembly. I don't mind a little bit of assembly being required if it's from something huge, but if it gets down to where you have to start painting, every single arm or leg or something, or not painting, gluing together, then that might get a little complicated. But hopefully that's not what they're going for. What do you guys have to say?
Still at the core, it is a it is not a children's game, but it is for a younger group as well. So they want to make sure that parents don't need to do this stuff for their kids and worry about swallowing bits and such. So I don't think, yes, they may not come fully painted, which, may not be the most, exciting thing to hear, but at the end of the day, you got to realize that they are still trying to get this to the wider audience, at a certain type of cost. So they want to save, but they also want to get it to everyone as much as possible, including kids, so that if, like I said, you don't need small little bits. So I don't think they're going to do the full assembly like they do for Warhammer, because Warhammer at a story aspect is very dark and not for kids, and neither is the assembly for the figures themselves.
Right.
It's a question that I'm just going to throw out to Krista and Carmine out there, since he watches this, and just say, hey, what do you have to say about this? Will the figures have to be assembled, or will some of them have to be assembled? And let's see if he says yes or no.
The thing to do is keep an eye on as you see more and more miniatures, because if they don't have to be assembled, or they have a very easy assembly, they're always going to look the same. They're always going to be the same pose. Whereas if you go more of the Warhammer 40,000 route, you're going to see miniatures that the guns are in different positions, or they have different options attached onto them, and that way it'll kind of lean more towards going to be a little more complex assembly.
And which might not really work for Heroscape, because if we're changing, for example, the big monkey character that's in the squad that has a hammer, if we're able to change the position or the change of weapon in his hand, then what's the point of the card? The card, is going to be this staple for Heroscape, assuming that they keep the shape and they keep the same formula. So I really don't think they're going to go that route, full assembly. Like, they're going to do the minor assembly, like wings or maybe a staff or a back bling or something.
And sorry to interrupt you, Joe, but Chris is actually watching the live streams because he just commented.
Of course he is.
Of course he is. So he's actually watching through Facebook, and he says no.
Exactly.
All right,
no.
let's go.
So there's your answer. He says no.
No assembly required.
Yeah. No.
So that definitely comes back to my assumption is that it is this is
sprues does not mean no assembly.
Oh, what does that mean?
Early generation Star Wars Legion are no sprues, but they're still assembly.
Okay.
Right.
So does that mean
say no assembly or no sprues?
He said no sprues.
So the early Star Wars Legion stuff, before they went to the hard plastic with the droids and things, were fairly easy to assemble. So the guys went together in one way. There were things where you had multiple options, like Sabine Wren had a helmet or a non-helmet mode. But they took about 30 seconds to assemble the miniatures. They went together with super glue, and it's pretty straightforward. But they had no sprues to them.
Okay, and Christopher is continuing, and he's like, yeah, ding Joe is right, wings, etc. So yeah, the wings being assembled like we were discussing. So thank you, and Carmine, Mr. Chris Nadeau, and hopefully I don't butcher your last name. And so yeah, okay. So any more questions anybody's got, and let us continue on now that we've gone through what information we know. I guess let's see, Aunt Carmine's winking at us. Now I'm gonna get into, because we did this before, and I like to address the comments that I get from when I upload these live streams on YouTube. I get comments below, and so I just want to just mention the commenters. So let me go to this one first. Here, hold on one moment. Here, okay. Daniel Willard says, Joe, so he's addressing you, Mr. Joe Crazy, at the 1 hour 13 minute and 30 second mark, says, "Oi, don't underestimate the sway caffeine holds. See Ziltoid the Omniscient." And I actually had to look that up in YouTube, and let's just say that it's an album. It's a music album, of course.
Oh, okay.
And it has a lot of energy to it. I don't think it's for kids, but it has a lot of energy. And so, yeah, I'll probably on YouTube, when I post this on YouTube, I'll leave a link, parental advisory link below for that. But I found that I'd listened to a little bit of Ziltoid, and that was very interesting. So thank you, Daniel, for that comment. That was that was an interesting little comment there, and I found some more music to listen to. So that is
Nice.
great. So let me go to this next one. Vault Nurse 336 says, "So freaking hyped."
Yeah.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. It's I don't know. I mean, it's like there might have been a little dip when it came to Paintgate, but
Airdrop incoming.
incoming.
You guys hear me all right? Everything?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
we can
sound
hear
great,
you,
Ben.
sir. We can hear you,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So we
Nice.
have another guest on our panel for the first time. Finally, been able to get him on
Heck yeah.
the TOV live stream. Welcome, Ben. MK Plus Ultra is in the house tonight, people.
Yo, what's up? What's
He's
up?
here tonight.
What's
Yes.
up? How's it going? Sorry to drop in.
No,
Better late than never, I guess.
You're,
right?
you're,
Right,
you are
right.
more than welcome. Welcome to the stream.
Sure.
And just for since people haven't seen you on the stream before, please shout out who you are and your channel.
All right, for sure. I'm MK Plus Ultra. That's the name of my channel too. I upload Heroscape battle videos. Try to do it weekly. Been doing it since mid 2020 because we started off doing some Heroscape unboxing videos. When I say we, me and my brother Alex. If you guys watch the channel, you've seen him. Hopefully, maybe in the future we could get him on too, because he has a lot of good insights on
Absolutely.
Heroscape. He's been playing just as long as I have. He was my main partner when we were kids, playing the original set, and then we took a break for like 10 years, and he's been the only one that, came back with me. So, yeah, shout out to him too. But good. Thanks for having me here. It's
Oh,
been
yeah, for sure.
awesome. It was awesome seeing you guys at ScapeCon.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a great experience just all around. So for sure.
Absolutely. And Tim Crone says everyone knows MK Plus Ultra, so you got a fan in the comment section right now for you. And
Nice.
yeah, great. So we and just to give you a little recap, Ben, we just went through the Discord drops from Thursday and Friday, and now we are going through the live stream that we did last Wednesday when I posted it on YouTube. The people commenting on last Wednesday's live stream YouTube video, we're just going through those comments. And so the one there was one comment about Ziltoid the Omniscient, and like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below. And remember, all these guys, all their pages, if you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description below for all these guys' pages, their names beside it and stuff. So please go see them, like them, press all the buttons. Press all the buttons. And so we're going through the next comment, which is Vault Nurse 336 saying, "So freaking hyped." And so we're just talking about the hype train. The hype train is real, and I was just mentioning when you came on that with the exception of the dip because of Paintgate, I mean, it's only been a week and a half. It's only been a week and a half. It feels like a year. It does. It's only been a week and a half.
Goodness.
But I mean, I think the energy and the excitement has just raised up after the Discord, the Avalon Hill Discord launched, and we're able to get a little bit more information on these miniatures. It's just, and so tell us. I'm sure you're hyped, aren't you, Ben?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, I got so hyped when I saw the little trailer. I forgot where I saw it first. I'm pretty sure it popped up on my Instagram. But yeah, I thought it was like fan content. I thought it was like fan made thing, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then it's like Age of Annihilation, and just like the information that was along with it, like the little blurb that they had with it. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's coming back. Like, the hype was real. Like, I immediately sent it to my brother, and then he sent, expletive. Like, it's coming out. And I was like, yeah, it's back. Like, it's back. Yeah.
Right.
So we're still hyped. Like, obviously, we're still hyped for it, but just that initial news, even just coming back, and it's only been really a year and a half, 2 years, going on 2 years for us, just being back in the Heroscape scene, but just knowing how dead it was. I mean, not dead, but like literally out of print for 12 years.
Yeah.
We're not making new pieces. The pieces were going up in value because of how scarce it was becoming, and just 2 years ago, we would have never figured it's coming back.
Right.
Like we started making content as if it was never coming back, like, oh, it's cool, we're unboxing this stuff that they're never gonna make again. It's been discontinued and it's 16 years old, but now that it's coming back, it's really cool to just like look back on that and how like, not how naive we were, but like if we would have known then that what we know now, it would just been completely different, like, oh yeah, Heroscape's coming back in 2 years, it just would have been a different feeling than just being that dropped on us out of nowhere. Like, it's coming back and it's real. And that's what it's funny. Most of the posts that I saw was like, it's coming back and it's real. Like, this isn't
This is no joke. Not April.
Nice.
It's not April. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people even said that too. They're like, "Wait, it's not April." Like,
and I think also another thing I was thinking about over the weekend too, when it comes to me, you Ben, and you Joe, is that we've been building content for the last couple years or longer based in the Heroscape universe, and we did it just because we love the game. We love the story. We love the characters. We love how it brings people together, how it brings families together, and we wanted to be a part of that, even if it wasn't here anymore, and not realizing that what we were doing would lead to today. I mean, it's just one of those, I think, extra blessings that comes along. You don't expect it. You don't. You're not thinking, because it was beyond hope. I mean, I remember me and Joe talking about this earlier this year about Heroscape coming back, and I mean, it was just like, yeah, right. Maybe someone else would get the IP or something, but we never had no idea that it was this way. And even if this announcement didn't happen, I'd still be doing what I'm doing anyway. I don't know about you, Joe. I don't know about you, Ben, but I'd still be doing the same thing. Exactly,
because at least for my intention was to make content to get more people to know about it. Either it's how to play the game, how to make maps, how to make characters, and like go through the entire Heroscapers website and just learn more about the game, because I'm still a newbie. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't know, so I want to learn with you as the audience. So that was my own goal, and so now with this dropped in our laps, we're just like, okay, I guess I'll do everything I was already planning to do, and now this.
And then some.
And so trying to keep up with the news, and then also try to make predictions on what they're going to do. There's a lot to do now, even more than there was before.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's all wonderful stuff. It is just so comfortable to know that all of the fears that I've ever had with the game coming back, I don't have to be scared.
Right.
I know that Craig Van Ness has pulled together an amazing team of developers and artists and designers to help bring the vision that he has, as well as the wonderful and creative and passionate team at Avalon Hill to bring their visions to life, and to keep everything the way where it is now. Keep it as strong as it is that we have with the expansion of the C3V and the SOV, as well as just continuing the story from where we left off.
Right.
So we don't have to, just wipe everything away. We're not restarting anything. We're just continuing.
Right. And I'm going to now, unless you guys have something else to say, I'm going to get to the last comment that we had on the last live stream YouTube video. Unless you guys got something else to say. Nope. Okay. So let's go to this last one. This one is from Carmine, Chris Nadeau himself.
What?
And he's answering the question. He's answering the question. Is his name Carmine from Gears of War? And he told me directly no. And then he also says this. It's something else. It is a multi-layered tale. The easiest portion of this involves a particular story released in early 1996 that inspired my imagination and helped give definition to teenage chaos, turned into my gamer tag forevermore. So
Nice.
it seems like there's an in-depth personal story for Chris's Carmine tag, and hopefully someday, Chris, we'll be able to get to hear that. We want. These are things we need to know. These are things the community needs to know. The backstory of this Heroscape developer, and hopefully we'll get that sometime in the future. But that's all he's telling us right now. So
Hey, I mean, that's totally fine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like Ryan said, I'd love to hear your story and everyone else on
Right.
that team's story on how they got to be where they are today.
Mhm.
half the
I'm
reason
just
why
generally
I'd love
really
to
curious.
interview them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's half the reason. Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. And Christopher says in the comments, it's way more interesting to keep it mysterious. For now, Chris. We'll get it out of you eventually. We'll get it out of you eventually.
Hmm.
Now, I'm let's see here. Let's see here. I'm just looking at the time because I am trying to keep like these the first part of the stream an hour, around an hour, and we're at like the 50-minute mark. So I am gonna skip a couple things that I was gonna do, and maybe do that for next time we have time. And I'm gonna get into next, since we're talking about Chris Nadeau and Carmine himself. There is something that he addressed with me, and here, I want to make sure I word this right. Here, hold on a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. Basically, he gave me to present to you guys a potential story element to debate and discuss. And just give me a moment to read through this. And it could involve, and for me, when I answer, I'm going to have it for me involve within the Tales of Valhalla storyline. What the potential is. And I've already been thinking about potential storyline details for Tales of Valhalla anyway, since Age of Annihilation was announced. Maybe do something time travel or multiverse type things to try and make it stick to
Sure.
like the Heroscape universe, to where it's like someone, like a character from the main universe could have gone back in time, but they went into the multiverse that has the ToV universe. So it's the same type of battle for all time, but it's in a different universe because it's like multiverse type thing.
Multiverse is
that's
all
a
in
brainstorm.
now, so
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Why not? Why
Yeah.
not have
Yeah.
that idea? Unless it's too cliche.
no, not yet. No, not yet.
not yet.
You gotta hop into it now, not later.
So
Do it while it's fresh, Marvel fresh.
let me read what he, or let me read a little bit what he asked. So it
All right.
says, he says, so, and we'll just call this segment, because I think this might happen more in the future. I'm just going to name this part of this segment Questions from Chris. And
Okay.
so this is what he asked when it comes to our lore building skills, especially since, I mean, me and Jeremy, developing lore within Tales of Valhalla, or gleaning from the lore of Heroscape for Tales of Valhalla. And I know I've talked to Jason, I've talked to you, Joe, I've talked to you, Ben, a little bit about the storyline within Tales of Valhalla, so you guys can kind of get the idea. And I mean, Ben and Joe, you're kind of filmmakers in your own right, so you're developing stories anyway, so this is just food for thought. And let's take this in and see how we can brainstorm this. All right,
Okay.
Let's get started. Okay, what happens to Valhalla if the mystical energies used by the Valkyrie to draw their armies to the planet draw more than just the magical properties that they get themselves? What if there's more to it? If used repeatedly, if drawing from the Wellsprings used repeatedly over an extended amount of time, would the essence of the other planets affect Valhalla, or would it affect those other planets, their landscapes, alter its ecosystems? Would there be an underlying plot within the story elements? Like you're trying to use these well springs and the magic of them for good. I mean, Jandar, is probably the most righteous dude out of all the factions, but what if and so using the well springs for his powers, and the rest of his faction who use the well springs for their powers, what if drawing from the well springs causes a harm to the universe that nobody intends? What if the well springs have their own intent, their own purpose, and who's in control of that? So that's the question presented, and for this one I will choose to go around first. So Jeremy, why don't you go first in discussing this first part? This is just the first part. This is just the first question. This is just the first part of it. Yeah, I know. This is why I want to do this, because we might go over time, but we'll discuss this a bit. So Jeremy, go ahead. You first.
Okay, so the first part of the question, we're talking about the magic, right? Like what would happen if you're repeatedly drawn upon the magic of the well springs? I mean, so at least from the very, very beginning, for myself, when I got into the Heroscape storyline and I started investing in the lore, it's the question always is, how's this affecting the timeline? How's this affecting the flow of natural course of events? And if you have this magic that's disrupting, because remember, most if not every one of these characters that were brought into the world were brought at the point of their death, right? They were literally moments from dying, and a Valkyrie came in and saved them right before that happened. And so for the most part, that timeline, that event in their life has been completely disturbed, right? Like that's going to cause a paradox. Like it's always like time itself has a very, very fixed forward sense of motion. Things that are supposed to happen will happen in some way or another, right? Valkyrie are coming in and taking characters right before their deaths every single time. That's paradoxes left and right, right? And who knows? And that's just one part of it, right? The paradoxes. That's also, the fact that it is, this question specifically is bringing up the fact, is talking about an energy source. So there is a source of power, right? Is this energy finite? Is it infinite? Like, what is it drawing from? What is it pulling from? What is being cost? What is the price for using this sort of energy to pull these people out of the timelines that they were, originally part of? I mean, there's a lot that could happen, and a lot of bad things could happen. And like this question, like the fact that it's being asked, at least for me, is pointing heavily into what to expect for the title. Age of Annihilation.
I know.
Things are coming undone. So,
Yeah, when Chris private messaged me this, I'm just like, what does this mean?
I feel like it has a lot to do with the title. So
okay, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, well, just Jeremy was giving me kind of ideas, like if it is a energy source, then maybe that energy is measurable. So maybe like how they pull Agent Carr, or they pull the Soulborgs from the future, or like from, because it's the battle of all time. So what if these future worlds or future societies were able to like track that energy? And if it's a portal, it could open from both sides. So now the generals didn't expect somebody tapping into that energy and coming from the other side, So maybe the people establish their own dominance within Valhalla, and they see the Wellsprings as a source of power, and there's another struggle because it's the Age of Annihilation, and maybe some of the factions that have been warring for all this time are like, now we have to deal with the incoming threat that we didn't, see. And so we could see some pairings up or something like that, But that Jeremy just like put that idea into my head, like that there's future societies that are being, taken from it. Maybe even like a present day society, who's to say we couldn't measure that, somebody taking from somebody right now. But in the past, it'd be kind of far-fetched, but what if that specific event sprung a technological advance that wouldn't have been there before? They took a high society hero, that's been in many battles before, and they're like, where did he go? He just vanished.
Mhm.
And so maybe in a point in the time in the past that pushes their technology to create, like Jeremy was saying, a paradoxical, offspring multiverse universe,
Maybe.
just like in that with every multiversal little like thing, it's one little decision can
Yep.
create an alternate universe, so now bringing in alternate universes, and now that is prevalent in mainstream society, and it's like you said, it's not cliche yet, so maybe they can just tap into that, because I feel like Heroscape was already multi-universal,
very,
Right.
very, very,
it is the cross time, and maybe
Battle of all
even
time.
it's definitely across space too, so
Right. Right.
That's just my 2 cents for that. That's a crazy, question for them to bring up.
Right.
That means they're already thinking about that.
For sure.
So.
For sure.
For sure.
Jason, what do you think?
So I have 2 questions, and then I got a crazy crackpot theory idea of what's going on.
For sure.
Question number 1, is there some reason why the generals brought people from a few moments before their death? Is there an in-story reason why they had to do that, instead of just plucking some random guy out from some point in their life?
I want to say, I don't think it was ever directly stated, like in text or anything like that, but it was kind of one of those implications of personality traits of the generals, like the ones that we were using. A lot of them understood the severity of the magic they were using, especially Andar. Like that, he's depicted as this like super righteous guy, and then you have the others who are neutral and kind of like shifting loyalties based on the current scenario at times. Utger summoned everybody whenever he felt like. I mean, he was summoned, like they describe him summoning thousands of orcs, thousands of Maro, like he was planning to summon thousands of undead. He was just bringing them by the horde and laying waste to all the villages and all the cities in route to his desire of conquest. He didn't care. And so in retrospect, I think that the other generals were aware that they needed to be careful with what they were doing with the magic they were using, and that's why most of the characters from the good side, or what we can see as the good side, were always written as being pulled moments before their death. Because I mean, you can't miss a person when last thing you saw them was like they were about to get hit by a sword, so you're probably just assuming they died anyway, but they didn't. They got pulled out. So it's like they were very, very intelligent about it. Except Utger. Utger was just summoning whoever he wanted. Like he was just like all over the place. So.
So question 2 in regards to Ukkar then. Did he intentionally summon the Morrow Hive? Or is that something that kind of was some side effect?
As far as I know, the hive that we have in the game was actually native to Valhalla. That was grown there. Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at either the Morrow knew how to grow it from when they were brought to Valhalla,
Right.
or that got pulled in accidentally.
Right.
Because if it got pulled in accidentally as a side effect, that kind of puts in a little bit of a precedent, this idea that Chris is talking about, where the Wellsprings can somehow seep in stuff from the other worlds without necessarily people knowing about it.
Right. Sure.
That's the second part of the
And then
question that we didn't talk about yet, but yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well,
You're
I'll
good.
save my
Hey,
crazy
predicted,
theory
yeah.
for when we go through the entire question then.
Right. Joe.
I'm going to put it all together.
Okay, Joe, thoughts?
So that with all of what you guys said so far, my still vision of Age of Annihilation and what Chris was saying is not more the same. Looking at the trailer, so the trailer shows this desolate world, and with lava and all the trees being burnt away, and so with the magic draining or being drained away, I would assume that the flourish forests and this beautiful landscape is being sucked. The magic was bringing all the life, and so with the life gone, it's this desolate world. And so I would assume Valhalla is slowly dying. And so what happens? What if they're just all stuck there? What if they can't get the portals back open? What if everyone that's been pulled in already is stuck on Valhalla and Valhalla's dying? What do they do?
Right.
And you're actually getting to Tales of Hal a little bit with that.
I know. I was like,
that
that sounds
little piece.
familiar.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that plot line.
Yeah, because that's not their plot line. That's mine. But that's fine. That's fine.
Copyright.
No, it's fine. And that's, I mean, one thing I was thinking about when it came to this is that this is like the universal story arc for this entire universe. And what I tend to look at more are the character arcs within that universe and developing the character arcs. And I'll just take for an example just Toothpick, okay? Since he's the most OG Tales of Valhalla character there. You know, because Toothpick is a kind of a character where, in his own right, he's a goofball. He's kind of like fourth wall breaking type of guy that stops to smell the flowers. You know, appreciates those times in life, but he can be a fighter when necessary, and when it comes to developing villains and heroes, like say for Star Wars, you know, Luke Skywalker is the classic hero, you know, story arc, you know, starting as a farm boy becomes a king basically. And so when developing character arcs within, like, say, if this is one thing they want to do, and I think it would be a good thing within the series, because that would get your audience more connected with characters if they're given more fleshed out, well-written arcs with at least some of the characters that you can identify with. And that's one thing I did when building TOV and building like these common characters that didn't really have any like names or story arcs themselves. I wanted them to be, you know, the focus of the universe, and how they would handle a situation that is overwhelmingly at odds against them, and what do they do about it, even if they're facing death and destruction. Do they keep you know, what they are? Do they change? Do they, you know, how do they respond to those types of situations? And so that's one thing I was thinking about when it comes to this type of like a story arc, you know, and handling the Wellsprings if Wellsprings return, or I mean, the Wellsprings, even though the Wellsprings are kind of not in TOV, and if people don't know this when watching and haven't watched Tales of Valhalla, let's just say within that, within the story in the Tales of Valhalla, the Wellsprings have disappeared, and the effects of them disappearing though is very prevalent in the series, and everybody's just responding off of that. And so what would I do? I mean, how would I write that in for, you know, if there's, you know, a magic, or if there's a Wellspring that returns, or, you know, talk about like maybe someone who might know the actual not just the effects of the visions, and because there's already side effects of using it that's known, but what if there's effects, or what if someone is in control of the power of those springs that nobody knows about, and how would those characters use that? So I mean, there's just a ton of brainstorming ideas, and we'll talk again in a second. Let me finish the rest of this paragraph, and to give us a little more food for thought. So, okay, so we're talking about the Wellsprings altering ecosystems, Chris gives an example, like a grotto with strange mushrooms like flora from Mar, which is where the Maro are from, growing on the far side of a nearby hill. I think he means to say like on Earth. And there's he's like imagining like a flock of seagulls, you know, flying past a hillside, and there's like a visual representation of something that should be on the homeworld of the Maro that's growing on Earth. And what would that indicate? Is the universe is starting to intertwine. And what he says is, has the world's course grown unstable as legions from across the galaxy march to war, and an alien ichor spills upon the soil. Do Valkyrie even comprehend or care about what they are doing to their world and the universe and I added in any verse, but in their world, in an effort to achieve ultimate victory, is victory over your foes really worth it? If it means the Wellsprings are doing something to the universe that could have ramifications that nobody sees. So let's go back here. We started with Jeremy. Let's go back to Jeremy again. What are your thoughts?
So lots of actually, once you sent me that message, I did some research. I did a lot of research about the subject.
I knew you would.
I would. That's just my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, the commentary about ecosystems and landscape changing as a result of the arrival of these new species. I mean, we're talking about that is biology at its core. The research of how organisms interact with each other. We're talking about the concepts of how species develop abilities, like some animals learn how to use poison to survive in a certain environment. Some animals learn how to they develop stingers over time. They develop color markings so they can protect themselves from predators, right? All of this stuff was things that were developed over a long period of time based on stimuli. They had outside external things that like press the need upon them to develop these reactions as a result. This is how biology works. So when you have an entire planet that we already know that there's a very, very broad timeline of a few thousand years, because Thorman mentions that Valhalla has been around for a while. We know that there's been an established ecosystem, and then you're getting technology that they have never seen ever suddenly not only forcefully introduced into the world in a matter of minutes. You have in these battles, these machines are breaking apart and spilling oil into the water, right? Like spilling their various mechanical requirements. The fuel that powers these machines are being poured into this planet's ecosystem. And if you have a species of fish, or if you have some insects, or if you have amphibians that are created and they live their lives and they've done things for several thousand years a certain way, and then you got this strange chemical element being introduced into their ecosystem, it's going to destroy it. It's going to destroy it. That's just how biology works. When something foreign is introduced into an ecosystem and they're not able to respond to it quickly enough, they call it a collapse of the ecosystem. That's an actual scientific thing where scientists have tried to research and ways to prevent things like that, because in a real life circumstances on Earth, we have pollution that causes issues like trash being poured into oceans and things like that cause problems for the wildlife. Like we're talking about this, but like at a greater scale, because it's not just one. It's the trash of the galaxy.
It's universal, multiversal.
All this stuff coming into this one world all at the same time, various different things. And not only that, but like the Valkyrie aren't even paying attention. Like Vidar already constructed his underground facility. He had a giant secret lab where he was building a Solborg underneath his castle. You have the Morrow that are already infecting everything down south in the southern continent, where they created a hive, and they're creating more and more versions of Morrow on their own terms. I mean, this is like, and we have various circumstances. You can look into this in different plot lines. One of my favorites, the Marvel series, right, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you remember Avengers, when the aliens attacked, right, after the Battle of New York, they literally spend every other movie after that point talking about how Chitauri technology, the aliens that had attacked from another planet, how that technology ended up in the black market. And like there are several movies that start, the plot of those movies start with discovering, oh crap, they found Chitauri technology on the black market. And I mean, that's just one small part of it. This is like the severity of impact to nature, to civilization, to society. Everything is being forcefully introduced as something they would have never had contact with prior to the rise of the Valkyrie, and it's going to cause some issues. So, yeah, very big point there. If the Valkyrie know that they're changing the planet, they're not showing very good signs of that, because I can promise you, just based on the science alone, huge issues. So
and their responsibility, and might explain why there is now a faction that doesn't want to be under any
Ditch
Valkyrie
them,
general.
yeah. Decide to do their own
Do-
thing. Yep.
Yep. Ben, what do you think?
I don't know if my ideas are going to be really original because it is like Jeremy did cover a lot of it. Like when you bring like just even talking about with animals too, like if you bring an invasive species of animal and introduce it into the ecosystem, it's going to knock off the top predator, or it's going to make it hard for that top predator in that ecosystem to survive. And I mean, there's barely any. I can't think of much like where they talk about the native species to Valhalla, but just bringing all this stuff and even the units and the people they bring in themselves, how they commingle, and like you do have different like species within each faction too. So there was just like I don't know, like people probably didn't get along, just like stuff like that, and people like were accustomed to like the temperature or to the just how it was on their own home planet. Who's to say they didn't try to like almost like terraform their own little space in Valhalla, because there's probably, or they just destroying the natural ecosystem just like we do to make it comfortable for ourselves. So there was probably just a lot of that going on, and a lot of just and how many thousands or like square feet of encampment do they need to house all of their general or the general's troops and stuff like that. So I bet just whole ecosystems are wiped out. Forests were cleared just by the people in Valhalla as well, and not to mention the cross-contamination, and maybe like a Morrow structure appears on Earth, and those people see it as an alien attack, and like I said, and like just said, like that might advance them to, hey, what's going on in this place called Valhalla, and they send their own heroes to Valhalla to see what's going on. And that's just a really cool concept.
Yeah,
exactly. Maybe opening the portal for space travel for humans, so that's just, it's crazy how it would, like Jeremy was saying too, affect the society of whatever planet or whatever ecosystem is affected. So,
and if things,
or even
go ahead, Ben.
Or the orcs on planet Gret, like the ones that were left behind, like how did it affect them on their home planet? And just the vipers on Mar, how was Mar affected? Because multiple species were brought from Mar. So how did that affect the ecosystems on Mar when they took out all the vipers? What were they called? They used their talons. Yeah. What if they made a surprising comeback because there were no more vipers? And so that is an interesting concept of how they changed ecosystems, not only in Valhalla, but like on the home planets as well.
So real quick plug in that point you're bringing up about the planets being affected back home as a result of the summonings. I actually wrote a fan fiction on on Heroscapers a while back, exploring the idea. So we know the dragons all come from one planet, right? Icaria. But the dragons are depicted as kings and gods and rulers, and they're the heads of the government. They're the figureheads of these religions. And so I asked the question, well, if you take a god away from a religion, what happens to that religion? And I wrote an entire story discovering, like trying to really explore the idea of what the Icarians were doing in the absence of the dragons. And that, I wrote a lot. That was a really, really fun thing to explore. There was so much to get into. And I mean, that's just one piece of the pie. And like you said, you mentioned Mar, you mentioned all these planets. Every one of these worlds are being affected in drastic ways as a result of summonings. So
yeah, and I was gonna say, it's like if everything is going to absolute compost heap, keep it family friendly here. But if everything goes to just horse manure, is there a way through time travel to fix it? I mean, will like in like a storytelling style, would a group of heroes have to take a journey through Valhalla to find like maybe here's an idea: a race of people that are like beyond Valkyrie or beyond the Kyrie. People who created the well springs, actually, people who know, are the masters of the well springs.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what would those? Since this is a universe, in Heroscape where there are a lot of creatures you've never seen in any storytelling or any game before.
Right.
Could you make something like that? Anyway, that was just the thought I had. Jason, do you have any thoughts for the end of this?
So two things here. First of all, the original question seems to imply that there's accidental summonings coming to Valhalla. Mm-hmm. So in addition to all the side effects, everything that Jeremy and Ben were talking about with, stuff blowing up, oil spilling, toxic things, the question mentioned seagulls being brought from Earth. And there's no reason anybody would intentionally bring seagulls from Earth.
Right.
The second dumbest bird to bring to Valhalla, dumbest being the Canada goose. So, so clearly the idea is that there's other things being unintentionally brought, and that's what's messing stuff up. Mm-hmm. Now, my crazy crackpot theory is that because we got to factor in the monsters. The monsters obviously are something important. So all this summoning, whether it's the summoning directly or the side effects of it, is destroying Valhalla. And the monsters are this ancient guardian race that are rising up to defend the Valhalla from all the stuff that's going on. And they're the ones who are actually doing all the damage. So the monsters are just basically wiping out society because that's their way of basically stopping all of this and blowing everything up. And then allowing Valhalla to go ahead and kind of like regrow after everything's dead. And then that's why you've got the monster hunters who are now becoming specialized soldiers that destroy the monsters.
That's a good thought. That could be the synopsis for Age of Annihilation. You never know. You could have hit it right on the head, Jason. Joe, what do you think?
I think you guys are all correct. Listening to you guys, for this particular part of the question with having, essentially, what if maybe I'm misunderstanding what the question was, or what that last paragraph was saying, but it's essentially trying to say that the Valhalla reaching out to the other planets and the other worlds that these characters have been coming from, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll re-say it. Just last little bit. Has the world's course grown unstable as legions across the galaxy march to war? And an alien ichor, spills upon the soil. Pollution. For example, a grotto, a strange mushroom like flora, a famar growing on the far side of a nearby hill. Or a flock of seagulls passes overhead from Earth. And do the Valkyrie even comprehend or care about what they are doing to their world in an effort to achieve ultimate victory? So all these things coming from all over the universe, in this
so it's the opposite of what I was thinking. So everything is coming to Valhalla.
I know that's
right.
And I thought,
yeah.
I just realized that's what he was trying to say. That's what Christopher's trying to say is like all these things actually coming on Valhalla. I think that's what he's saying. The wording, it's like there's a couple of typos, so I'm like trying to think. Okay, this is what he's saying. So yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, seeing having a flock of seagulls in Valhalla, is definitely a sight, because if you think of these other planets and these other worlds that these characters were originally coming from, and the magic that's in Valhalla is becoming unstable. Maybe it's not going away or anything, but it's unstable, and is causing some kind of, not in the sense nuclear, but that's how we would, as an audience, represent this power going nuclear. And so you have all of these, these powers reaching into those planets, into those areas of the universe, and Valhalla is just being contorted and twisted around. And it's just the longer we talk about this, the more I feel like I have to bring this fact up, and not to compare it to a direct, because I don't know. As soon as I bring it up, I feel like the world will hate me for it.
That's fine.
But it sounds a lot like the Fortnite world. I follow Fortnite a lot, And so the story in that is essentially it loops. So the game that you play, the battle royale game that you play, is essentially every time the game ends, everything resets again. And so all of these characters that have been drawn in, and so if it is Wolverine and Iron Man and people from, you know, a Frozen ice cream man or something, whatever skins that they pour in, the Ariana Grande, whoever they pour in, they're being copied and being looped over and over again. And so every time that happens, it makes the core of the world unstable, and there's rifts, and there's different worlds being pulled in, and then different POIs change. And so it's really cool to kind of see that implemented into Heroscape, or I guess Heroscape's always been the OG, and so if anything, it's vice versa. But that's, I think, having that concept happen, and if there's any way, now tying this into the gameplay aspect of it, if there is any way, because we have not seen anything about terrain yet, and I'm praying that next week we'll see concept art for terrain or ruins
Chris,
or something.
Hint, big hint.
So if we are bringing other worlds to Heroscape, could we see new giant mushrooms to put on the board instead of trees? Could we see like a mini, instead of like castle bits, but they're concrete, skyscraper bits or something? Could we see maybe different types of giant trees, or maybe distorted chunks of different planets being combined? Could we see a new terrain tile that represents corruption and the world being decayed? So
well, I'll give you an immediate answer, because and Carmine just answered on the screen. He seems to like you. He says, "Well done, Joe." So
whoa, calling it. Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go. But he did not.
Who would have thought the answer? Who would have thought the answer was Fortnite?
No, see, I don't know if that's. See, he's not saying exactly.
he's not
maybe
saying
I'm
anything.
all correct.
He's not saying
maybe
anything.
No. Maybe I'm
Just-
all correct.
Just saying, well done.
So hoping. My actual hope is to get an answer of concept art for terrain or the world. Because we've seen characters all last week.
He says not the Fortnite bit.
Well, obviously not the Fortnite bit. No.
I'm trolling you.
But you, I think you nailed the mark somewhere, Joe. And yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, I
just-
think I have an idea of how you guys are going about this, and I really hope that I understand. So that means it's not that I'm right and I win or whatever, but it's the idea of that I'm thinking the same way you guys are. And I think that's a really great way to feel that you and I are on the same page. As our imaginations develop through this game of Heroscape. I think it's really awesome.
Well, and one of the things. Oh, go ahead, Jason. You go first.
I was just reading stuff on my phone, as I do when you guys are talking about things. And on Britannica.com, which is one of the encyclopedias, Ragnarok, from the idea of Norse mythology, is basically the end of the world where men fight alongside gods against giants, i.e. monsters. So I think that maybe that's basically Age of Annihilation is kind of like they're bringing in more of the Norse mythology and the idea of Ragnarok, where specifically the little guys are fighting against the big monsters that have come to destroy the gods, which in this case would probably be the Valkyrie generals, or what's left of them.
Oh yeah.
Another crazy crackpot theory.
No, that's really cool, because Ragnarok is it's got some really deep storyline telling, because like all the gods they go against the giants, right? And it's not just a battle. So if I recall that part of mythology, it's not just a battle where there was going to be a winning side. Both sides kill each other essentially. It's like a 1v1, v1v1. Everyone like is falling to each other's powers. So because you have what was it? I think Fenris Sulfur, the giant wolf that had been chained from the day one from the day one of its birth, right? Because this thing was like ravenous and was destroying everything in sight. They chained it down,
Sure, maybe.
and it breaks free, attacks Odin, kills Odin, but then Thor kills the wolf. But then Jormungandr, the giant serpent, kills Thor. And it's like they have this entire like story where everyone ends up falling to something else. And at the very end of it all, Suitor, the giant of fire, sets like literally burns the earth whole and turns it into this like pile of ash essentially. And it's a pretty interesting piece of Norse mythology that got documented, this age of annihilation essentially, but for the Norse gods. So.
And I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Gimply the Giant. Thank you for commenting on the stream. Good to see you. And it says, loving this stream, collabing with MK Plus Ultra. So much to speculate about. You're famous, man. You're famous, Ben. You're famous. And let's see here. Gimply the Giant also says, I'm excited to see more of Valhalla. I hope they use more of maps. And yeah, I think, and Chris says one more thing here. Mythology. We'll make that next week's question.
Oh.
So whenever he dumps that on me again.
Nice.
That sounds fine. Yeah, Marion says hi from Honduras. And hi, Marion. And I just want to say that when it comes to terrain, the one thing I enjoyed when it came to animating ToV was the terrain, was the fact, not only did I use terrain from the Heroscape game, but I also used terrain from like high ground tiles. And it just, all that really enhances the depth of not just the show, but the universe. And so, always been a fan of the terrain, the fact that at least that's one element of the game that you can play right away. You don't have to, build from scratch terrains like they do in other miniature war games. And this is still a game that you can open the box, and even if the figures aren't painted, you can still assemble a terrain set and still play the figures and still play the game right away. So it's just one of those things that makes Heroscape quite unique, and it seems to me that that's what they'll continue doing with the game. I haven't heard anything different, so that's always good to know. And I mean, we're now about an hour and a half into this, so a half hour longer than I planned, but you know what? That's what happens here. And Chris says, a vital part of the game can honestly be Heroscape without the scape. No, it can't. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
I was just about to say that point. Just the fact that it's completely modular and you can have a different battlefield every single time is the draw of Heroscape. The heroes are nice, the heroes awesome, but what you first see whenever you look at like somebody playing Heroscape or like that is you see the battlefield more than anything, because it's the single biggest thing on the table. Is it all is a cohesive map, and so you see the map first, and just even looking at the Heroscape terrain is, I don't know, nostalgic, or just brings hormones to your brain, like that. It's awesome. Just the way it looks is super unique and super specific, and you can tell immediately. No other game, I mean, like you said, High Ground, or there are similar, but not as interlocking and as modular as Heroscape is. And I feel like that is, like saying, one of the most crucial parts of Heroscape is that you can create your own battlefield every single time, and not one battle has to be like the other ones. When you include the figures, even more so, even tenfold. But still, like, the terrain is a very crucial part of Heroscape. And it's gonna be awesome to get this fully painted. Like you said, we could use it fresh out of the box. I've even seen a lot of comments like, if I don't play the figures, I'm getting it for the terrain. Like, and that's Ben, the draw of Heroscape.
Ben, you get a well said from Chris. So good for you. Chris said, well said, Ultra. There you go. And yeah, I think, I mean, I love the fact, as a filmmaker, as a visual storyteller, the visual storytelling aspect of the terrains. And when it comes to the game itself, I mean, there is also, not just visually, but also you integrate it into your gameplay as well. Water terrains, lava terrains. I mean, all these are unique to the battlefield that can make or break you in the game, depending on what terrain you have laying down, or stopping your archers, or your ranged fighters against fighters that can do hand-to-hand combat. It's I mean, the terrain itself is a character, not just in the storytelling aspect of ToV, but is a character, and it's something that could be with you or you're fighting against in the game as well. So yes, like what you guys said, you cannot have Heroscape without the scape for sure.
Right.
That's funny that you said that, though. It's like the terrain is literally pieces of Valhalla. Like you said, it's a character itself, but it's the Takala jungle that you're playing with. It's the Volcaran wastelands. It's a point on the map that you're like, okay, this is, and then we do use it for other, the lava tile at this place, or, but it's the Volcaran wasteland set. It's the fortress of the Ark Kyrie. It's specific thing that we definitely use, for other purposes, but it's literally a piece on the map of Valhalla. So like you said, it's definitely a character, and it adds character to whatever map you're playing.
Right. And I'm gonna this portion of the live stream I'm gonna end pretty soon. I'm gonna get last comments in a second. I just there's one other comment on the chat stream that I want to address because Gimply the Giant was asking something. It says something I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Hero Quest is also from Avalon Hill and also has minis that are not painted but have solid detail. Do you think we'll see skate minis of the same caliber? And I'd say from what we're seeing, like from Gen Con, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Some might even say too detailed.
Yeah.
Some might even say like, these are too detailed. These are hyper detailed. Like, these don't fit in with the regular Heroscape, but when you think about the time when it first came out, 2005, 2004, the minis production wasn't as good. Like, we're talking literally 10, 15, almost 20 years later, the mini production is going to be a lot better.
And Chris,
and just there's so many other miniature games out right now that it would almost be like if there was the simple style of the classic Scape, there would be complaints that it was too simple. It's like, it's 2022. How come we can't get some super detailed minis? But like, I think they're going to be, just like you said, from what we've seen from Gen Con, they're going to be like super more detailed than anything we've seen before in Scape.
And
conveniently,
go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
Conveniently, I just purchased a whole bunch of the new Hero Quest miniatures. I got them sitting in my room over there. For the pictures I've seen on Gen Con and what was on the one Instagram of the painter, the new Heroscape miniatures are much better than what Hero Quest has.
Right.
The Hero Quest miniatures are good, but they're still kind of the board game class of miniatures. The Heroscape things we've seen so far look a lot better. And I've even been trying to paint some of the Hero Quest miniatures, and they're a little finicky because the detail is so small. I was having some trouble with the primer getting filled in a little bit, fill in some detail, but I'll fiddle with that later. Maybe I have some other things going on. But yeah, I think Heroscape's going to be better. Right,
and to start closing this out, Chris Nadeau and Carmine says that actually perhaps greater detail. He says we're learning fast. Every project, and see, for those of you who don't know exactly what Chris does, what N. Carmine does within Avalon Hill, he oversees, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I believe this is the case. He oversees not just Heroscape, but lots of projects within Avalon Hill. So he's got his hands and his mind. He leads a lot of these things. So he is like top brass when it comes to Avalon Hill. But he says every project has expanded our skill and knowledge. It has also improved our manufacturing process. Yeah, Chris says the whole thing. He's the head honcho. He's the big kahuna. He's the guy. So anyway, okay. I have to end this, or this is going to go on all night. I'm going to do final thoughts for every person, and then when you're done with your final thought, I need to drink something. Just say your YouTube name or link and what you do after your final thought, and then it'll get to me, and then I will close this out. So, Jeremy, since you've been first, go ahead and go first. Final thoughts.
Alrighty. Final thoughts. I've once again just absolutely stoked, excited, and genuinely continued to be surprised that Heroscape is returning. Has been one of my favorite things to investigate in terms of narrative design. Continues to be one of my favorite things to investigate in terms of narrative design. So I'm super excited to, especially receive these questions regarding the lore and figuring out how in fact the world has changed and all the stuff in regards to what we're talking about, the summonings and the ecosystem and all that. Super excited to see how that will develop in official content later on the line, like when they do create that wide variety of stuff they were hinting at. Like, how are they going to depict that through, the character interactions and stuff like that? That's going to be really, really fun to see. So here to witness it all, it is I, Jeremy, also known as Crotoan of the Eslam Call It. It is twitch.tv /the_Eslam, where I talk lore about all sorts of narrative content for video games and Heroscape and other games and anything like that. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, all by the same handle, the_Eslam.
Ben.
I'm MK plus Ultra.
Oh, final
I
thoughts?
have a YouTube.
Do you have any final thoughts to
sorry.
say beforehand?
Jump right into who I am.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I probably missed it. I was thinking about this while Jeremy was talking. I don't know why I jumped right into I'm MK plus Ultra, but Sunland. I probably missed that discussion, but that just gives me hope that there's going to be for Sunland 2.0. There's going to be the hand-picked few that were maybe I honestly don't want to see any 3.0s. However excited people might be for Return of Sergeant Drake or another Raylan. I don't want to see any 3.0s, but for sure, like, there's so many characters that they can develop even further and just make more BA like they did with Sunland. He's now riding his pet dragon. Like, that's insane. And I'm like super excited to see because Sunland was definitely one of my favorite characters, and just to see him brought the 2.0 version of him into this new era is just super exciting, and he just looks ready for battle. So what's happened since he just had his cloak and his little pet dragon on his arm? Now he looks like he's full armored riding his dragon. So stuff probably went down, and I can't wait to see the lore and the backstory behind all of that, and then just what's to come. We got Morrow Pirates, and so it's crazy to see like how they've developed some of our favorite stuff, like they said, and then how they're going to be using this to push brand new stuff that we've never seen before, or maybe even just speculated about or had seen before in like the comics or some of the lore talked about in the compendium, but we just never got to see. So that's what I'm excited for. Just this new Heroscape. Like, of course, we're all excited, and I just can't wait to see where this goes. And I'm MK plus Ultra. My channel, same name, MK plus Ultra, all one word. I do battle videos with my brother Alex with the Heroscape Battle Brothers. I have a full series of unboxing videos that we did for our first season of content. Going to be uploading some battles from ScapeCon that I just had, 3 exhibition matches, and then me and my brother are going to get into the 4th season of our battle content. So I hope you guys can stick around for that. And working on a little side project, my Living Heroscape Compendium. Haven't had any entries for that yet, but I have around 3 entries for that. Hoping to build that up, just especially now, just to build on this idea of the lore of Heroscape, because that's basically what it is. These Heroscape Compendium entries are just videos and me talking about the lore of Heroscape. So, for sure.
Jason?
Yeah, so I think the last 2 little things I just want to mention quickly. One, I'm looking forward to Sonlin. He is always one of my favorite characters because he's basically a falconeer with a dragon, which is only more awesome than an actual real falcon. And with his character, one thing interesting to note about the concept art, it does look like he's still flying the banner of Ullr. That little icon is very, very similar to what the Ullr current faction symbol is. I wonder if that general's still around, or maybe Sonlin is basically taken over and is now using the same icon, but now maybe Sonlin's running the show. Who knows? And we were mentioning very briefly earlier about, I wonder how much stuff they have for Heroscape ready to go in terms of the lore. If you look around, you can find videos by Wizards of the Coast of what they do for designing a world for Magic the Gathering, and it starts with giant walls of art. So if they did anything even remotely similar for Heroscape, we've seen like a tiny little fraction of the kind of artwork. Just the ideas they would have tossed out, stuff they would keep, stuff they would have thrown out, just weird ideas they would have used to build a world. So there's probably a lot more sitting somewhere inside, Avalon Hill's design studios of just really cool pictures. So that's about all I've got to say then. So once again, I'm Jason. I'm the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield, which is on YouTube under Rocker Robotics, or it's probably easier just to go to tabletopbattlefield.com. And if you're into space combat, you can check out Legends of Caladasia at EmpireUnderSiege.com.
Joe.
Oh, I learned a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm always, trying to expand on the gameplay and learn. So I'm hoping that, let's say next week, we learn more about terrain and gameplay. The fact that we got concepts for abilities this past week was awesome. I was not expecting that at all. I really do appreciate that we're getting concepts for these abilities for these characters. I love the lore. I don't know anything about it too much, and I'm learning a lot from all of you guys, so thank you. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys have in store as of the terrain, the abilities, the figures, the gameplay, and what we can do to develop it, because I had just put out a video today actually about predictions. My friend Glenn and I made a prediction bingo board and so we're gonna see if as long we get news coming out, and see if we can get bingo at some point. I don't know what's gonna happen if we get bingo, but if I'm excited to see if we get bingo at all. But there's a lot of stuff on there, so I am Joe Crazy 3193. It's one word, all caps. And please go check out that video and let me know what you guys think, what you guys want to see out of that, because it might be a long video, but there's a lot of predictions. We cover a lot of territory with rules, gameplay, lore, mechanics, all of it. So, but Ryan, thank you for having us all on.
Oh yeah, for sure. No,
you're
thank you
a
guys
blessing with doing stuff like this. I really appreciate it.
Right, and thank you guys for coming. And again, if for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, my YouTube audience, links in the description below for all the links and sites that you need to go see for this. And for these guys, please like, share, subscribe, follow, press the buttons. Press the buttons and get them done. And Chris has one more thing to say. He says, "Thank you, gentlemen. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Ultra, for coming on." And yeah, Ben, but this is Ben's first time coming on the stream. I've been wanting him to come on, and does not disappoint. It's great having you on board with us, and whenever you guys can join these talks will be great, even though it's taken an unholy amount of my time, and I'll explain that in a second. But he also says, please consider the entire Avalon Hill team fans of you all and your talent. We appreciate you. World building provides emotional connection and is essential to this venture. So, I mean, I'm that's a lot right there.
Thank you.
That will keep us going.
For sure.
And I'll have to say, because since we're coming on 2 hours to the stream, so I think I'm actually gonna
did it once again.
No editing again. No editing on the live stream. I might edit a little bit after episode 7, but this is really delaying my show, people. This is really delaying my show.
How dare you, new Heroscape? How dare you?
It's a good thing. But no, I'm happy. I'm happy. Just doing this work, bringing this together. I think it's a skill that I'm developing that I didn't know that I had, basically, is bringing all this together. And I'm just like a river in a canoe. I'm just going with it and see where it takes me. But for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, yes, the production of Tales of Hell is still ongoing. I'm still doing editing as much as I can. There will be periods like this week, next few months, where I might not do anything because of planned trips or something. But the process is ongoing. It's been that way for the past several years. I mean, no matter what complication or something gets in the way, my focus has always been to get this done. It's never been to give up. It's never been to quit. It doesn't matter how long it took. It doesn't matter how much energy I need to put into it. It didn't matter if it took the rest of my life. I was going to get this done. And so that is still the goal. And yeah, thank you for everybody commenting on the stream. Always appreciate the comments. Chris and Carmine, I don't know what we expect next weekend. Oh boy. But it's great just hearing those words. Thank you for just the support and the communication. It's a wonderful thing. I love it. And like I said, we'll see you all next Wednesday. Probably doing this again. We'll probably and hopefully it's going to be a little bit shorter so I can do some video editing next time. Although I'm not sure how much, because actually this Wednesday is kind of gonna be have to be a little bit of a short stream because I'll have to end it early. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a few days. And I'm basically gonna close out this live stream. Anyway, appreciate everybody's support, everybody watching, and if you can, if you're watching this on Twitch, watching this on Facebook, check out Tales of Valhalla. It is a stop-motion Heroscape adventure based on the board game Heroscape. It's got like your favorite characters and characters that will become your favorites because it's been written and thought up of and voiced by a great team of people, present company included. And it's been a fun ride, and I just know that like this universe expanding and coming together, I think I just don't think I'm gonna get a 2-year, like a 1 to 2 year break after season 3 is done. I don't think that's in the cards now. Just a tiny break, please. I need to sleep a little bit. Come on, I'm a disabled guy, please. Anyway, you all have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, and live it. And we'll see you guys the next time we do a live stream. Later all. Have a good night.
Good night. Thanks for
See you guys later.
Ciao.
Take it easy.